So our company is BalkanID. We are an identity security and access governance company, traditionally called as IGA. So I'm going to talk about three things, right? I'm going to talk a little bit about our company. I'm going to give you a little bit of personal overview about myself. And I'm going to talk about BalkanID Copilot and how we use LLMs to provide value. Here's a brief company overview. I'm Subbu, and this is my third company. My last company was in the infrastructure space. We pioneered GPU virtualization. We sold that to VMware. And my first company was in the marketing automation space. I started my career at Intel. So I'm a builder. And this is my first cybersecurity company in the last 5 years. My co-founder is Samir Seth. He's been a veteran CISO for like 2 decades. So what we do is we provide identity security and governance. So we tell you what are the identity risks that are there within an organization, who has access to what are the risky accesses, what are the privileged accesses. So we kind of give you a full view of that. And we help companies do something called access review certification, which is it's something that you have to do every quarter in many companies, sometimes every month. Somebody has to audit who has access to what and certify it. And the third thing is when you basically find out that, hey, this person should not have access, you got to remove their access. So we basically do the whole lifecycle management. And our whole niche is that we try to be the intelligent one. So just to give you a quick idea, if you have, let's say, 1,000 employee company, and let's say you have 10 applications, you're going to have 10,000 different combinations and permutations that you're going to have. It's like an inbox problem, right? So you have something called a priority inbox. So the same way you have a priority inbox for email, we do the same thing for access review certification, lifecycle, etc. We kind of tell you, identify the needles in the haystack. So as a company, what we do is we provide our product as a standalone product, but we also provide a product which is a Copilot, which I'll be talking about, which has been around for the last 1 year, as a product that can be attached to existing identity security governance solutions. So you can add the Copilot and you can automate and run agents, etc., on top of what you already have. We'll talk about it in a second. I'll kind of, I'll walk through these in a demo. It'll be much more interesting and interactive. Right. This is a little bit about me. I'm a runner, so I love running marathons and half marathons. That's my wife, and this is our team. We also have a dog in the team. So we basically have 2 things that we use in BalkanID, in our Copilot. One is we basically have taken everything and put that in a graph, all the access reviews, all the identity data, every single parameters and privileges. We put it in an identity graph. Once we put that in an identity graph, so if you see here, let's say you come and ask a question. So we use LLMs that's out there to convert that from natural language to a query, which is basically a cipher query. And from the cipher query, it pretty much actually runs on that graph that is there. So the reason actually, one of the advantages of this approach, right, which I kind of recommend a lot of people actually even to try it and use it, is that when you do this, you are going to actually be always correct. Right. For example, let's say if you say, I'm going to ask a question, it's going to convert from English to, and you can use any LLM, it could be a hosted LLM as well. And when you convert that to basically a query, it's always going to be correct. If it doesn't know the answer, it's going to say, I don't like the answer is incorrect. It doesn't know the answer, as opposed to hallucination. Hallucination is going to be pretty much 0 in this case. So that's how we basically have our Copilot built. And our Copilot can sit next to an existing, system as well. So for example, let's say you have, let's say, a SailPoint or a Savient, or let's say an Okta that you already have. And let's say I don't want to use BalkanID for everything. I just want to use it for as an identities governance analyst. So you can make the Copilot run next to it, and you can get value out of the Copilot. The second thing we basically do in our Copilot is, MCP is a new API, right? Model Context Protocol. The future, is basically going to be MCPs everywhere. Just like every company builds APIs, everybody's going to build MCPs. And there are two kinds of things that you build in an MCP, which is an MCP server and an MCP client. So what we have is we basically have an MCP server that is there for all our APIs, which means when we basically put the Copilot as a standalone thing or a platform as a standalone thing, people can write their own Copilot as well. People can write their own agents as well and talk to our, our platform through our MCP. The second thing we basically do is we also use a lot of MCP plugins, whatever is available, right? For example, let's say when you want to basically create a ticket after a review, or when you want to create when somebody joins the company and you want to say, well, they joined the company and this is what their access should be, and automatically provision the access or get it approved. And for some of these things that you cannot be provisioned, go and create a ticket. This is a workflow which is going to be very customized for different companies. So that can be pretty much actually written like agents. Right? You just talk to it and you can build an agent, and you can use any agentic framework or any agentic system to use it while using the BalkanID Copilot as the orchestrator. And a lot of autonomous workflows can be automated by the MCP. I'm going to actually quickly play a demo, with the help of the gentleman, and that will probably kind of talk you through what does our system do. So the Copilot basically provides a chat interface that can be plugged in anywhere. It can either be actually a standalone thing, or it can be plugged in within whatever systems that people have. So, any questions while the gentleman is actually loading up the demo? Yes, please.
The framework, is it tested in GovCloud? Can the government cloud use it?
Any cloud can actually use it. The way actually we have actually offered basically both our platform as well as our thing is, we run it on AWS. As long as it's AWS GovCloud, it can run, right? And the reason we actually built everything on AWS is because we don't have to go and build a lot of underlying infrastructure components that already exist. Oh yeah, so we are not FedRAMP approved, but yes, if there is if there is a company who wants to basically start a government, hey, I want to actually go through the thing, it's possible, because the way the whole infrastructure is built is it can be deployed in AWS, and it basically has gone through a lot of security things. We have a couple of our customers, they are basically planning for FedRAMP. One of them is planning for this year, and one of them is planning for next year. So we're thinking maybe we'll actually be able to go and get FedRAMP as well in the next 12 months or so. Okay, so everybody basically uses things in a UI, right? You basically click buttons, dashboards, all that thing. So the whole idea here is you just come to the system and you just talk to it, right? So for example, if you basically say, list all findings in aggregate, and you can ask any questions you want, it converts that, and that's a screenshot I showed you in one of the slides. It converts that to a Cypher query, and that Cypher query basically will pretty much execute, so it's always correct. And explainability in AI is one of the major things, right? Because if an auditor is looking at something, hey, how the hell did I get this answer? So this is basically explainability that it kind of gives, and we basically provide you a whole package that you can download and do whatever you want. And similarly, you can ask a lot of questions. So for example, hey, list all users that have, let's say, personal email usage of active identities. It's going to pretty much actually run that question, and it's going to run the same thing, the same way. It provides you basically what the Cypher query is. It'll give you, what the attack vectors are, what things you can do to mitigate, etc. So now you're almost talking to another human being. In organizations, this is typically done by people, and it takes a lot of time, right? And AI is a system which basically has infinite memory, and it's suitable for that, and it's built for that. There are some more questions that it basically asks here. So for example, are there anything with personal email for active identity? You can really start a question and dig deeper into the question and then kind of drill into it. That's another advantage of actually using a Copilot or a chat-like interface. Especially ChatGPT interface is kind of the modern interface that is pretty much going to be the de facto interface everywhere. And it can basically you can ask questions like, hey, what roles are there in an application? Typically this is a very manual process that happens in an organization. So let's say you have, let's say 1,000 people or even 10,000 people. People just keep getting awarded roles, accesses, etc. There's no bucketing. So you can pretty much actually use, BalkanID to do that. And again, everywhere, as you see here, there's a query that shows, right? So English gets converted to basically a graph query, and the graph query pretty much actually executes, right? So now you can ask heuristic questions. Hey, if a person joins the department, what role should they get? So as people join the company, now this becomes a very interesting way. Now imagine this being stitched into a workflow, which is what the next piece of in the demo that I'll be showing here. So now the thing is, hey, what connection should this person have, right? So again, typically in organizations, you'll say, oh, you know what, I'm going to go and talk to this this person in IT and go and ask this question. You don't have to do that, right? And by basically having the Copilot offered as a solution that sits with the existing solutions that you already have, let's say an Okta or an existing IGA or a bunch of different systems, you don't have to go and rip and replace everything. You just basically provide a better user experience to your customers. And similarly, like an inbox, right? Hey, what tasks do I have? What kind of reviews do I have? What do I need to complete? So you pretty much do all these things. The same pattern, right? So the advantage is basically putting everything in a graph and talking to it and actually executing it. And right from here, you can actually generate something called a playbook. A playbook is nothing but basically a workflow, a set of programs, right? And the whole idea of a playbook is, it's a sequence of agents or a sequence of steps that basically runs. So in the future, one of the main things, a lot of agentic companies, et cetera, that's there. Everybody's trying to run agents, et cetera. So each of these things that are basically being typed here are all going to basically be a sequence of program that's going to run. Before MCP, you had to basically write a Python code to do it, or write a Golang code or a Java code to do it. Now, thanks to MCP, which is basically the new API, you can pretty much actually talk in English, right? So, everything that people talk about vibe coding, right? You can pretty much actually do vibe processes in companies. So, the same thing can be applied to reports as well. So, people actually use BalkanID to actually run reports. And the same method, right? The key thing I want to actually give as a takeaway for everybody is, of course, BalkanID actually does this also. But more than that, right? If you guys are basically building systems, etc., you can actually have the same approach and extend whatever processes and systems that you have for your use cases. Okay, thank you, guys.